Hey guys, Crypto G in for another unplanned session of facts and stats. Today I'm going to attempt to teach you, my fellow visionaries, how to swim against a rising tide of hype and hysteria and calculate that path to safer ground. By now your inboxes are surely overflowing with promises of 100x gains from so-called revolutionary projects that have never been done before. Yet you find yourself inexorably drawn once more into the breach of yet another too good to be true scheme promising riches beyond imagination. Do not feel ashamed though, for who among us can resist the siren song of compounding returns? But tread cautiously as the vultures gather overhead, eagerly awaiting the chance to prey upon our optimism with the offer of an opportunity of a lifetime. Ask yourself, why does your finger hesitate to unravel the so-called complex mechanics underpinning this house of cards known as the Boomerang contract? You no doubt are wondering, could this flashy fanfare be masking yet another vehicle for financial trickery and deception? So I feel the time has come to pierce this veil of wizardry and uncover the banal reality of a few lines of code redirecting a relentless redistribution of USDT from the many to the few. But despair not, for in knowledge there is power, and armed with truth we can rebuild the foundations for a future aligned with visionaries shaping history rather than conmen twisting it to their gain. Beyond all the fancy decorations, we just simply need to follow the money flow and see what that tells us. Investor funds go into the Boomerang contract. They get shuffled around from contract to contract, but eventually end up pooled under a familiar name we discovered in the previous video, Mr. HyperOne holder, aka Shavez Limited. If you haven't seen The King's Gambit, then I suggest that you head there next. All the complex mechanisms in between are simply distractions. Mr. HyperOne gains control as the scheme's architect, and the users funding this entire operation end up fighting desperately just to get their 1x back. It's a classic bait and switch. Lure people in with promises of innovation, dazzle them with jargon-filled white papers, which in reality was a scribbled excuse for a white paper without the necessary detail. But when the smoke clears, the money has simply changed hands from the crowd to a single entity and its collaborators. No new value or unique utility is created despite the technological illusions. In reality, you don't need to comprehend every nut and bolt of this supposed machine. The core money transfer tells a clear story after cutting through the noise. Let the allure of complexity fade as we see Boomerang for what it is. An elaborate facade enriching its design, architects and community builders alone. But before we bypass the noise and dive into the HyperOne affair, the HyperOne connection, I do need to do the usual housekeeping. I am not a financial advisor, and this video should be used for entertainment and educational purposes only. You must seek professional advice before making any investment in either the traditional or the digital space, as there is a risk of partial or total loss. Make sure that you do enough research, make sure that you try to self-custody your assets, and remember that the information in this video may well be out of date by the time you get to watch this. Now, you may not have ever heard of the HyperOne project and probably don't understand its importance or why I am starting the journey here. Well, recently, YouTuber influencer KSI was caught accessing a dormant Twitter account after 12 months, exposing some questionable pump and dump tactics when the timeline data from KSI's Twitter and crypto wallet activities were audited by Zach XBT. See Agent CoffeeZilla YouTube channel for more detail on that. This reactivation of a previous account, triggering a proof of ownership action, with an apt abbreviation I might add, brings us to the why. Mr. HyperOne, aka Shavez Limited, the largest holder and creator of the HOT token, originally used this wallet ending CAA0 for exchange and distribution of the BEP20 HOT token to subscribers up until the 18th of January 2023. HyperOne was a questionable token and platform running on the Binance Smart Chain rails that promised the next opportunity for wealth distribution, but has since disappeared. You really can't make this shit up. Then radio silence, zero on-chain activity until almost a year later, when up pops the Boomerang Tester admin wallet ending 106A with a 2-matic deposit to fuel transaction gas fees as the new Boomerang platform runs on a different blockchain called Polygon. We then see a change of ownership, admin control for the Boomerang Fund Controller V1, which distributed the pseudo profits, to Mr. HyperOne a few minutes after. Then 3 weeks later, when Boomerang upgraded to V2 contract, Mr. H withdrew all assets from both Flash Loan contract V1 ending 55EA and the Fund Controller V1, sending those assets later the same day to the main Boomerang Tester admin wallet, where we see whitelisting, wallet and admin duties being executed. Please excuse the name tag humour. Then on the 5th of February 2024, approximately $10,000 worth of assets were received back from the Boomerang Test admin wallet and then immediately distributed to the new Boomerang Flash Loan Authority V2 contract. So at this point, you may still be defensively thinking, okay, so Mr. HyperOne collected and transferred the assets in the old V1 contract to the new V2 contract and allowed admin control to be held by another wallet. So what? The contract needs to hold assets to function. Well, is that actually true? If the contract pulls the asset through a Flash Loan request and then uses price differences across the dexes to arbitrage profit in a single block, then in reality no assets are needed other than a native matic for gas fees, which is then actually paid by the user. So we rightfully question the logic that is being presented here, and I suggest that there should be little need for asset flow into the contract if the trades are generating profits themselves. So when we continue our transaction analysis and see further multiple large transfers of the trading assets available on the Boomerang DApp and essentially see overt step routing from the Boom admin account through Mr. HyperOne to the Flash Loan Authority contract, we should further question the rationale being presented and ask, why does this contract need a continuous flow of assets if every DEX swap trade is a zero loss? In addition to that, we should also question why these asset flows are increasing in both size and frequency, and could make some relevant assumptions in line with user growth, which wouldn't be favourable when considering the longer term sustainability of a profit-less arbitrage system that solely relies on subscription inflows to cover distribution of these pseudo-trading profits. At the end of the day, behind all the complex smoke and mirrors, we just had to follow the money flow from the newly revived Mr. HyperOne. No matter how many flashy distractions they create, it's a straight transfer of funds from users to creators. And as we keep digging into more of these innovative DeFi projects, tracking the money trail cuts through all the hype. So thanks for joining me to uncover yet another wizard behind the curtain. Please smash that subscribe button and share this video so more people learn to see through over-embellished blockchain schemes. And the crypto learning adventure will continue as we empower our community with truth. Remember to join the Avengers next time as we investigate where else these sneaky founders might be hijacking funds. Adios, truth seekers. Crypto G out.